Asia Wilson is upset that Caitlin was able to pursue the possibility of relocating to Europe. Asia has already made a demand to be Nike's biggest star. And now there is some disagreement because of how much Caitlin may receive overseas.
Nonsense about things that Caitlin was doing wrong when, in my personal opinion, she was doing nothing but going out there and playing great basketball every night and ignoring the hate that was coming to her from all sides, not only from fans.
Asia is not pleased that Caitlin will become the highest-paid women's basketball player in the world if she moves elsewhere. She feels that since she won MVP, she should be the most spoken about and given the greatest opportunities, but that isn't happening.
Asia Wilson, 28 years old, 1,000 points in the regular season. Why is that not the biggest story out at the moment? And why are we talking about Caitlin Clark?
Why exactly? Why when Asia was releasing a shoe were we talking about Caitlin Clark?
Caitlin has made the WNBA one of the most watched sports, increased corporate deals, and raised salaries. However, jealousy is still displayed by certain league players. She must depart for this reason. Let's examine a game in which Caitlin Clark is not present.
I mean, those are great numbers for any player, no matter how long you've been in the league. She's learned how to play the game, and she said, I had to learn how to play the WNBA well.
Asia thinks she's the star. Even still, hardly one was following the WNBA before to Caitlin's arrival. The player with the greatest earnings should be Caitlin. Hopefully, she will relocate overseas and demonstrate to players like Asia Wilson what life would be like without her.
Games to bigger arenas when Indiana came to town to accommodate more fans. I'm not finished. Attendance for the entire league is up nearly 50% this year, and Indiana leads all teams with an average attendance of 17,035, up 319%.
The WNBA has been rocked by the possibility that Caitlin Clark would sign a deal with a European basketball league. With competitive leagues that offer big contracts and international recognition, Europe has long been recognized as a sanctuary for elite talent in a variety of sports. Caitlin finds that playing in Europe offers substantial financial incentives, with salaries frequently surpassing those provided by the WNBA. Europe offers a chance to maintain its high level of dominance in the game while securing a prosperous future. Asia Wilson has expressed her opinions about Caitlin Clark's deal in Europe, and the money problem is the main source of her annoyance. The notion that Caitlin could make more money elsewhere hurts Asia, who has long dominated the WNBA. Financial security isn't the only consideration. The recognition that comes with being the highest-paid player is the main focus. Increased income equates to increased value. Additionally, Asia's standing as one of the best players in the league is under jeopardy due to this change in earning potential and the realm of professional sports. Esteem is frequently correlated with money. On and off the court, the most paid athletes are frequently regarded as the most valuable. Asia, who has put a lot of effort into developing her brand and securing her place in the WNBA, must now deal with the uneasy possibility that Caitlin's increasing star may overshadow her own. This is a tough pill to take for someone who has represented the league for years, but it's not just about the money. Fear of losing her position as the league's top player is another factor driving Asia's response to Caitlin's contract with Europe. She has been the most cited figure in women's basketball for many years. However, Caitlin's quick rise has altered that. Asia's sense of security and prominence in the sport is damaged by the idea that Caitlin could not only outperform her but also steal the show abroad. There is more to become the WNBA spokesperson than simply being an outstanding player. It's about being the player who draws in spectators, the one who represents the league internationally, and the one who captivates the public's attention. Although Asia Wilson has long occupied this role, the two celebrities are now engaged in a heated rivalry as a result of Caitlin Clark's ascent.
From being one of the most loved teams in the WNBA to being riddled with so much drama this season. Asia Wilson was under fire last week for the privileged comment that she made to Kelsey Plum.
Being the best player isn't enough for Asians. The goal is to stay current in a world that is changing quickly and where Caitlin's name is coming to represent the direction of women's basketball. The way fans view Asia Wilson and Caitlin Clark is one of their most obvious distinctions. Caitlin has gained a devoted fan base very fast, and they enthusiastically cheer her on and off the court. She has a significant social media following, and her games draw sizable audiences. The two players are now clearly divided as a result of this. Despite her years of success, Asia has not been able to garner the same degree of fan dedication that Caitlin seems to simply command. What is the reason for Caitlin's rapid fan acquisition, while Aya finds it difficult to sustain the same degree of adoration? The thrill of discovering new talent is one factor. It is always the next great item that attracts fans. Additionally, Caitlyn's debut in the WNBA has given the league a new story. She is viewed by fans as the sport's future. Asia, on the other hand, is viewed as belonging to the league's past despite her continuous domination.
I thought she would be unanimous. I mean, it's not even close. Because I said the most important person in the league is Caitlin Clark. And should be a top 5, if not, it should have been a top 3 MVP candidate.
This lack of fan acknowledgement is frustrating to Asians. She has put a lot of effort into creating her legacy. However, she learns that someone who has only started to leave her mark has eclipsed her. Losing supporters isn't the only issue here. In a league where a player's career can be made or broken by fan loyalty, it's about losing relevance. Asia worries that Caitlyn's fanbase may decline as her army of supporters expands, making her less influential in the league and in the eyes of the public. She should have become the WNBA's face after winning MVP, but now she's watching while Caitlyn steals the show. Caitlyn's perplexing features, the league's seeming hesitation to fully embrace Clark, is what has contributed to her rise. Caitlyn has encountered opposition from the WNBA despite everything she has done for the league, including advocacy and viewership. This opposition is unexpected considering that Caitlyn has not only made women's basketball more well-known, but also implemented significant reforms such as player travel on chartered aircraft. Why would Caitlyn be treated this way by the WNBA, an organization that ought to be honoring its stars? The nature of change holds part of the solution. Caitlyn is an example of a new generation of players who are questioning the status quo. She has become a contentious figure due to her outspokenness, quick ascent to stardom, and readiness to advocate for improved circumstances. She is viewed by some as a player who is upending the league too rapidly and posing a challenge to the status quo. However, power is also a factor in this resistance. The extent of Caitlyn's influence has allowed her to make demands, which can be unsettling for people accustomed to controlling the narrative.
The MVP and you only got one win out of that series. That's why I think, now I wonder if they had a 5-game series in the first round.
The league's hesitation to give Caitlyn full support is indicative of a larger conflict between control and player autonomy. The WNBA benefits greatly from Caitlin Clark's contributions outside of her on-court exploits. Her promotion of chartered planes, which greatly enhanced player travel circumstances, is among the league's most noticeable effects. Prior to Caitlyn's lobbying, WNBA players had to deal with demanding travel schedules that frequently left them exhausted and unable to give their best effort. By advocating for chartered jets, Caitlyn was able to give her fellow athletes a more comfortable and professional setting so they could concentrate on what they do best: play basketball. Better travel conditions are just one aspect of the contributions. She has been an outspoken supporter of enhancing WNBA players' entire experience. From equitable pay to improved working conditions. She has become a leader in the league as a result of her willingness to voice her opinions on these matters, despite the fact that doing so has drawn criticism. Even though the league and some of her peers have opposed her, Caitlyn has persisted in advocating for improvements that are advantageous to all. Nevertheless, not everyone has valued their contributions. Caitlyn has become the focus of controversy rather than being praised for her efforts. A. Wilson is among the athletes who saw Caitlyn's desire for change as a challenge to the status quo. As a result, there is now a divide between people who agree with Caitlyn's outlook on the future and those who oppose the reforms she advocates. Viewership is one of the WNBA's biggest worries in the event that Caitlyn Clark chooses to move to Europe. Fans specifically watch Caitlyn play, making her one of the most popular players in the league. Her explosive basketball play and her capacity to establish a personal connection with fans have made her a key attraction for the WNBA. Viewership increases whenever Caitlyn is playing. On the other hand, the league's ratings noticeably drop when she is not present. The WNBA would lose a significant section of its viewership in addition to one of its best players if Caitlyn decided to leave for Europe. Caitlyn has an unrivaled ability to draw viewers, and her absence would create a hole that would be challenging, if not impossible, to fill for a league that is still trying to expand its audience and raise its profile. The loss of a player such as Caitlyn might be disastrous. The league as a whole wouldn't be the only one affected. Asia Wilson and other individual players would likewise be negatively impacted. Players' incomes and capacity to establish their personal brands would be impacted by a decline in sponsorship agreements and endorsement chances, as fewer spectators would be attending games.
Have a fraction of the impact on the NBA that Caitlyn Clark has had.
If Caitlyn quits and takes a sizable percentage of the audience with her, Asia, who has previously shown her displeasure with Caitlyn's burgeoning star, would be in an even more challenging position. Beyond the court, A'ja Wilson's annoyances with Caitlin Clark also extend to the realm of endorsements. Specifically with Nike, has been a Nike athlete for many years, and she has put in a lot of effort to establish her reputation as one of the company's best athletes. However, Nike has been hesitant to completely embrace Caitlyn despite her growing popularity. A'ja has benefited greatly from the brand's advertising, but Caitlyn has been neglected, mostly as a result of the league's controversies around her. This is about more than just money, A'ja. It has to do with influence and recognition. An athlete's career depends heavily on endorsements, which help to define their public persona and give them the money they need to compete at the greatest levels. Nike's reluctance to fully embrace Caitlyn is indicative of the fine line that companies must walk when trying to combine promoting elite athletes with staying out of the spotlight. Caitlin Clark has encountered strong criticism from the WNBA and some of her teammates despite her best attempts to improve the league. Important issues concerning why Caitlyn is so misinterpreted are brought up by this pushback. From an external perspective, it may appear perplexing. The WNBA has benefited greatly from Caitlyn's support of the league's future, improved player conditions, and increased viewership. Why, therefore, does she encounter such animosity? Many athletes strive for years to gain the kind of notoriety Caitlyn has in such a short amount of time. And sentiments of frustration and jealousy may result from this. Caitlyn's success can seem like a threat to players like A'ja Wilson, who have played in the league longer and put in a lot of effort to establish their reputations. Moving to Europe marks a turning moment for the league as well as for the individual. The contract gives her a new beginning away from the WNBA's animosity toward her. Europe offers her financial security as well as the opportunity to advance her profession internationally. However, her departure might have a big impact on the WNBA. The league's expansion would be at risk if Caitlyn were to leave because of a decline in viewership and fan interaction. This choice may cause the power dynamics in women's basketball to change. The WNBA must choose whether to change and enhance player conditions to retain future stars or risk losing more talent to chances elsewhere. As Europe is becoming a new hot place for elite talent, Caitlyn's choice will determine the direction of the WNBA going forward, influencing the development of the league as well as the careers of its players. Please subscribe and leave a like if you liked it. There are more videos displayed.
Caitlin Clark, #1 in jersey sales, Angel Reese 2, Sabrina 3, Kate Martin 4. We talked about this earlier in the season. I feel sad that Kate Martin also hasn't gotten as much playing time the second half of the season. I feel like she deserves more, or maybe she deserves a different team. How crazy would that be if she went to Indiana? Just saying.